In this video, we're going to cover some basic statistics for a sample of two different stands. And these are the two different stands that we have the data for with 10 samples that you're looking at the differences in the mean, the standard deviation, coefficient of variation, and the sampling error for this week. And so I just plugged that information into Excel. And here I'm going to show you just the basics on how you can use Excel to perform these 4 statistical measures. So just enter your data into Excel. For you this week, if you're putting in your snag information, you can just plug that in. Like, so you can have a column here for heights and a column for diameters and so forth. And then from that, you're going to want to generate these 4 statistical measures. Excel will do some of this for you. So I'm going to just click on this cell for the average here, which the average would just be the mean. And so in order to enter, hopefully you've taken Excel before, or you have at least some Excel background, but in order to enter a formula, you just need to use the equals symbol. And once you do that, you can start to generate, individual formulas. So if I just pull, we're going to pick on this cell just to generate a new average. So I'm going to hit enter or equals on my keyboard and then just start typing. So I'm going to type in AV. So you're going to get the average. So this would be the average or absolute deviation. We don't want that one. We just want this average. So it returns the arithmetic mean. So we're going to select. So I'm going to double left click here. And then you end up with the front parentheses. So now what it's asking you is, well, just highlight what you want. So since this is this data is what we have for this particular stand, we're just going to highlight those cells in that column. And then I need to close the parentheses. So I'm going to hit Shift 0 on my computer to close the parentheses and then hit return. And it will generate the average for us. Standard deviation, you're going to want to use Excel to do that. You could do it mathematically, but you have to do the sum of the x's squared. So you're going to have to square these numbers and then do the sum of the x's squared for some of the x's. And so it's a little bit challenging to put that into a formula. You can, but it's easier just to simply type equals and then start typing ST, and you're going to get standard deviation. So we're going to pick on this one, STDEV, double click again, highlight those cells that are in that in our population or our sample, and hit Shift 0, return, and it's going to generate the standard deviation. So you can round this. These are all just numbers that based upon what Excel is going to give you. So I can subtract or get rid of 0, so it will round it so it is the same as this one. We'll just format these cells real quick so that they're all the same. And then for the coefficient of variation, it's probably easiest just to divide these two things here. So all you're going to do is write a simple formula to say this divided by this. And we can do that. So we're just going to say equals parenthesis, select the cell, this divided by this, and then hit return. Okay, and you can express that as a percent. So it's 0.15. It'd be 16%. So you can change that in your cell here. So we're just going to click up here and change that to a percent. All right, and then our last one is going to be the sampling error. So that is the standard deviation divided by the square root of n, the number of samples. So we had 10 samples here. So we're just going to write a simple formula for that as we see here. So it would equal the standard deviation, this value, divided by the square root of, and you're not going to put 10 in there. You're going to manually enter that. So I'm going to say is equal to the standard deviation divided by, and you can just type SQ. You're going to see SQRT. and we're going to type in the number 10 in parentheses, enter, and it should give us our sampling error percent, and we can express that as a percent as well if you wanted to. Actually, don't want to express it as percent that way. We're going to have to correct that. So leave it as that 3.9. 3.9% is what you're looking for, if that makes sense. So I'm going to undo that and keep that as the 3.9, and then just get rid of some of those zeros because you don't need to report it out that far to decimal places. So hopefully that helps you with some of the basic statistics that you'll need for this week and last week's lab or assignment 8 and 9. And you'll be able to give these summary statistics. And then I'd like you just to describe that, and that the sampling here is pretty darn good. 10% is generally what we're kind of shooting for with forest information. So if you have something higher than that, we would probably just have to sample more is what it comes down to. So we'd have to put in maybe more strips, or if you're doing plots, you would have to include more plots. So let me know if you have any questions, and again, always stay psyched.